board meeting for the Rockcastle County Board of Education started. The very first thing on our agenda is a moment of silent prayer. Amen. Item 1B is a roll call. Let the minutes note that all board members are present. Item 1C is the reading of board team commitments, and I'll do that tonight since I haven't the last couple of meetings. So, board team commitments for Rockcastle County Schools. To improve our effectiveness, the board team for Rockcastle County Schools commits to review processes and experiences to identify and direct improvements, continuously define and work toward long-term goals which serve all students of the district, make each decision based on facts and the best for all students, listen to each other and speak freely, work together, support each other and not surprise one another, discuss board deliberations to point of mutually agreeable resolution based on factual information, support the majority's decision projecting board unity towards shared goals for continuously improving district-wide student learning, operate without personal or political agendas, respect one another, agree to disagree respectfully, delegate implementation to superintendent and education team, and to respectfully remind each other of these commitments. Item 2 is adopt the agenda. We need to make an amendment to our agenda tonight. Item 3A, of course, is we're going to recognize a phenomenal student that just graduated from Rockcastle County High School. But after that, she's going to be meeting with us on Zoom, okay? Item 3B is what we need to add, and we have Deco Architects here that's going to give us a middle school update. So I need to
Make a motion to.
A second.
okay, with that amendment?
With that amendment.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Yep.
Okay. Brandon, could you bring Miss Haley? All right, Miss Haley, how are you? Hello.
I'm good. How are you all?
It's good to see your face again.
It's good to be here. I wish I was there in person, but I'm glad to be here tonight.
So Haley is the recipient of our Rocket Learners to Rocket Leaders Board Scholarship. And Haley is not with us because she is working at Morehead University in the GSP program. So, you know, we're so proud of her, not only for receiving this and what she has meant to Rockcastle County High School. She's been an integral part with the student council. She's been an overall role model for other students and just an exceptional leader. But now she's taking that on to Morehead, working this summer, working with the GSP program. And Haley, I know I'm partial to you because you're my, I've just watched you mature and watched you grow into the leader you are today. But we're all very, very proud of you.
Well, thank you, Miss Ballinger. I'm excited to see the future, and I'm excited to go to college and everything, but leaving Rockcastle is going to be so sad because it is my home and you all are truly my family, and so I just appreciate everything you all do for me, and I'm honored to be the recipient of this scholarship tonight.
Well, you know that this is always your home, and everybody in this room is here to support you. So if you need anything whatsoever, if you need anything while you're at Morehead, all you have to do is call us, and we will come running to your rescue, anybody in this room. So
Absolutely.
you are dearly cared for and loved, and we're all very, very proud of you.
Thank you all. I appreciate that.
We have an endless supply of ramen noodles for you.
That will be much needed, I'm sure.
Haley, when you are back in town, we do have a certificate, a framed certificate for you, so you can reach out to me when you're home, and we'll make sure that we get that to you.
Great. I should be home this Friday. We actually have a day off, so I think I'm gonna head home Friday. So.
Okay. Well, just let me know, and I'll meet you, and we'll get that to you.
Great. Sounds awesome.
Congratulations.
Thanks, Haley.
Bye, Haley.
Bye.
She's such a sweet girl. So good.
We are very proud of Haley, and I hope her mom and dad know that how much Rockcastle County loves their child. So, yeah. Item 3B, we'd like to welcome Deco Architects here, and we're excited to see what you have to show us tonight.
So if you all remember the last time that DECO came, Miss Jessica was here.
Mhm.
So, tonight we have Miss Jessica's better half with us.
The lesser, the much lesser. Bigger, but lesser. So very excited to be here with you all tonight. So this is kind of an informal update. We just feel like we owe you to show you work. So as we get online here in the coming months, maybe next month, we're going to come back to you and start asking for approvals. Because even though you've opted into the House bill and the KDE stuff's a bit easier, we still want to keep those approvals tracking. But for tonight, we just feel like we owe it to you because you were nice enough to hire us and give us a great opportunity here. Let's start showing you some stuff. But our approach is going to be kind of humble tonight because all of this is in progress. We're just working. So if we had to say like a percentage, we're like 15% there. So we still have 85% to go. So that's still a long way to go. But we're pretty proud of what's clicked into place so far. But if you want to like throw something or flip your table over or something, let's save it. We can do that in a later month. So we've built just kind of a presentation. We're going to use this as an outline. We'll continue to show this to you for months to come. But this is other work we've been blessed to do. But without further ado, let's just get to your stuff. So this is the team we've assembled to work on your project. This is our office. We are Deco Architects in Somerset, Kentucky. I'm the upper left hand, again, better half to my right. The core of the team that's working on this project is Chris Phillips over here. He's sitting in the corner. He's your senior project manager, kind of the brains that's actually making this happen. And then that kind of core group there in the middle of 4 folks have been working day in, day out on this project thus far. We are being joined on this project by 3 engineering firms. So the first one on your left is Sam's Engineering. That is a structural engineering firm. They did the Noah's Ark construction up near Cincinnati. That's the largest wood construction building in the United States. So pretty accomplished. They're out of London. And then CMTA, you all may be aware of CMTA. They are the premier MEP firm in the state. So they will be doing the mechanical, electrical, plumbing on the project. And then to your right, Doug Gooch with AGE Engineering. He is your civil engineer. So he's going to be working on the site, the drainage, the topo, etc. And we've been blessed. These folks have already kind of hit the ground running. They're already feeding us information. It's so far so good. But kind of our big goals here is we want to create a premier learning environment. So whatever we do here, we want it to be something we're very proud of. We want to install building programming that meets and exceeds the goals of the district and KDE requirements. We don't want you to accept some lesser product or something that doesn't hit the requirements. And we want to embrace some proven educational concepts, including like biophilia, tactile learning, and authenticity. Let's just have a really good, rich, dynamic building. And then based on the pragmatics of where we are in life at the moment, let's embrace post and super modern design strategies to deliver fun, efficient, well-skinned buildings. So that's a bunch of mumbo jumbo to say, let's be really efficient and then have fun with how we skin it. And let's do like a really good common sense, nice building to where you get some bang for your buck, but it's fun. And in the middle of that, let's maintain a strong focus on constructability. So you selected us to work alongside a construction manager, which we feel is to your strong advantage because now we're all on a team. So there isn't a division between design and build. We're all in it together. So we've had conversations today of, hey, have you read this newspaper article? It says costs are going up. What do we do about that? And the advantage is we're all in it together. So we're talking. And when there's a difference between what I'm doing and a difference between what they're doing, we're able to kind of sort that as we go as best possible. So let's just make it a design point of let's keep a focus on constructability the whole way. Let's not go wild and have, dreams that aren't realistic and then we have to rein those in later and it's painful. And then lastly, we want to contribute positively to the overall campus. So a good example of this is traffic patterns. We know we all struggle with these parent pickups. We know we struggle with bus pattern. Let's just embrace it. Let's sort all those things up front and let's make whatever we do, make that campus better rather than shoot ourselves in the foot. So drone photography of the campus as it stands, you all should recognize this and be well familiar. and then a site plan of how the campus looks as it stands. So we haven't changed anything yet. But you'll notice number 1, that is the heart, that is the middle school. Number 10 being kind of the main parking lot there. Number 2 being that academy. 4 being the football field. And then maybe pay attention to number 7 being the bus garage up on the hill. And we quickly studied solar patterns. You all know how this works. If you've ever sat in those stands and tried to watch a game, you know where the glare's at. And we just wanted to prove it to you. Here's some of the brains of actually making this work. So what we do is the KDE has regs, piles of regulations that they outline that says, take your enrollment and dig through these regs and it will magically appropriate you square footage and how many classrooms you should have, et cetera, et cetera. So this is us getting that on paper. So in short, KDE would like your classrooms to be 750 square feet. And then they kind of dictate, hey, you need 19 of them. And, you know, here's science classrooms. We would like those to be 1,000 square feet. You need 4 of them. And so a lot of this isn't us being brilliant. It's just us kind of regurgitating the regs and then seeing what we get. And then where we try to be smart is to be creative and say, okay, what about the physical education department? What if we could combine an auditorium and a gymnasium and we could make it a gymatorium and we could combine those into, you know, creative solutions to where we get more for our money here and have some positive outreach. And then the pink ones are your locally identified career and technical education allowances. So you have some willpower to rein in over those and influence what those become. So we've been working with Mr. Phillips. You know, preliminarily, we're talking about, well, maybe it makes sense that those are agricultural education, family and consumer sciences, and health sciences. If that didn't suit, you know, they could become technology centers, or you have a little bit of leverage there that we're working through. But at the end of the day, you come up with kind of an output of square footage, and we're roughly coming out to about 90,500 square feet of square footage based on your enrollment and just kind of shaking through the math. So if we start to look at the site, this is just a diagram. You'll notice on the lower right hand is your track. We're just going to use that kind of as a placeholder. And then the rest of it is the building. We're highlighting in red what we're proposing to demolish. So you'll notice we're proposing to preserve the central core of the gymnasium because we feel if you demolish that gymnasium, you will never get it back. You can't build the gym like that anymore. KDE requires gyms to look a certain way. They have to be a certain square footage. You could never build that back. So our proposal is, it's actually in really nice shape. What if we were to preserve it, wipe the rest of the slate, and just tear it down to kind of that core and start from there? We then pitch that we should build in this direction. So really we have 2 choices, right? If you leave this node, we can start building toward the highway, or we can start building toward the football field. Both have pros and cons. Our proposal is to build toward the football field, and let's just embrace it. We'd like to keep the students off the highway. We'd like to keep that buffer. We think it's really comfortable and nice how the site is nested back. And we'd like to kind of embrace pulling the building toward the athletics and just taking advantage of that site. So there's one major move to that, is if we do that, we have to find a way to streamline traffic around. So the major design move, if you sum this up in one move, is that we're going to have to punch a hole in this building to get bus traffic to swoop through to make all of the kind of circulation work, and we'll illustrate that a bit better later. But from there, we want to get more in the weeds. So we're going to look at individual programs. So the blue here, if you think of the 3 light blues, so you see they're 2 sets. There's 3 light blues and 1 dark blue. There's 2 sets of them. The dark blues are your science classrooms. The light blues are your standard classrooms. So if we think of those as teams, we can start to arrange those and we can start to build off of them. And with those, we can start to nest in other things like art classrooms, computer classrooms, agricultural, and start to build course programs. And then we can infill that with hallways. And then we can rinse and repeat. So if this is downstairs, because remember this is all going to walk out because where the football field drops, we can do the same thing upstairs. So you notice we'll get 2 teams downstairs. Maybe that's a great place to put 8th grade. And then upstairs we could get 4 more teams. So 2 teams per grade, 6th and 7th upstairs. And then maybe it makes sense that the new kind of central core of the school is back near that gymnasium, and that would be an ideal location for cafeteria. So cafeteria and kitchen are in green, and library in purple. And then red could be your new administrative block. So now we're starting to form a school here. Kind of the blue is all your classrooms and your education wings. Your greens and your purples are your kind of main libraries, cafeterias, and big use spaces. And then your red becomes your new entry. And then we had an idea, and we've taken some feedback, and this is still in progress, but talking to Mr. Phillips and some of his staff said, what about our resource hubs? What if we can kind of contain those into like a pod system to where your FMD folks could be close to your family resource center, your nurse could be within reach, your guidance offices could be within reach, and they could work more collaboratively. So there's a time and place, I think, where we split and we distribute some resources throughout, and we've done that. If you'll notice, in the blues, we've snuck some sneaky light blues because we can separate and get some resource classrooms integrated into classrooms, but at other times, we could get some of these specialty uses nested together into a hub, which will allow them to collaborate and could be positive. Brown, we're placing the band and vocal classroom so they get good access, good views of the football field below. And then more of sneaking in those like pink locally identified programs. Lastly is a new gymnasium on the other end. So we're calling this a gymatorium. And this was something your district identified and brought to us as an idea. We thought it's a great idea of kind of combining the gymnasium and auditorium programs into one space so that we can kind of nip both of those in the bud at once. And then celebrating all of that around, track and field. So this is what it looks like if we actually put it into a floor plan per se. So this is the same thing, it's just 2-dimensional now. You'll notice in the kind of the center, so if you find that red block lower, let's like center bottom, that's the administrative wing. The main entry is there to the left, it's all that gray. So you would have that secure vestibule there, a nice secure check-in. It'd be a nice open, generous space with direct access to the library kind of as soon as you walk in as a nice focal point. If you head left, you kind of have a lot of athletics. You have the existing nice gymnasium that we have. If you head far left to the orange, that would be the new gymnasium, the auxiliary gym. You also have potential on the far left, if you see that like 45-degree wall, to where we could host dedicated entry there. So if you were to have weekend tournaments or things like that, we could lock the rest of the school down, and you could kind of have dueling courts. So it could be great. On the bottom where you see like the cyans and the purples, that's the big kind of pod, the collaboration pod. This has FMD and all of those things, family resource. KDE actually requests that family resource has direct access from the sidewalk to where families can access that, and it's conveniently located for that. And then back to the library, we're going to kind of stick with the scheme you all have at the library or at the middle school where you have the open concept cafeteria. It seems to be something that works well for you all. It's kind of part of the culture, so we thought it was cool too. We'll just embrace that back and cap those corridors with the cafeteria and let it be out in the space. So we're kind of taking all the big public lab spaces and clustering them together to where we can control them. And then you'll notice a big white void kind of in the center. And that would be a courtyard. So a nice outdoor space, and this is still being negotiated. You know, we don't know if it's hardscape, we don't know if it's grass, we're working through those things, but just imagine a nice terraced place where you could have outdoor dining, or you could take a book from the library and go outside. It could potentially be an outdoor auditorium. We can host the bus loading from there. It can be a nice kind of private nested space in the center of the building. And by using, like leveraging this courtyard model, it allows all the classrooms to get windows. So we don't have any interior nested rooms. Everything is exterior.
So the cafeteria is in the center, right? There's no windows in it for like the break that the kids are,
Inside the courtyard, it has,
so it'll be up into the courtyard. Okay,
that
great.
right
Okay,
part
gotcha.
should all be windowed,
Gotcha.
the right wall.
And then basement, so this is upstairs. So everything here is one level. No stairs, no ramps, nothing. This would be a big change. This is what we call zero. You set zero and you carry it through. So everything's on zero until you get here. Then there's one stairs level. So you have to imagine that site. You all are familiar with it, but it falls toward football. So we're gonna have a walkout basement on the football end, and that's where it makes sense for us to pick up a basement. We have to provide a storm shelter for this school, so preliminarily, this may be where the storm shelter is. We may dedicate this 8th grade wing and say, you are our storm shelter, and kind of overcome that challenge. But for the most part, you know, we're talking about classrooms. We're gonna integrate the art classroom down here. And you'll notice, so you see everything in color, and then to the right of it, you kind of see everything's kind of in white scale. And what we're showing there is the bleachers. And you see like a little bit of concourse between the building and the bleachers. So, you know, that could be nice for athletics. We can host concessions. It'd be a nice, you know, area for games, but also during school hours, it'd be a great outdoor area for art classrooms to go outside, and they can have picnic tables and nice collaborative spaces outside. And then again, we're just going to kind of skim over this stuff, but as we get deeper, and we're not there yet, but we want to look for opportunities to implement passive learning, to where, you know, the kids are being engaged with the building, you know, whether they know it or not. So simple things like if we can put degrees on the door swing on the floor, or if we can integrate the periodic table into the lockers, or these are opportunities we're going to be looking at as we go by, just to make the building more vibrant and fun. And another opportunity we'll be looking for is what we call education hubs. And this is just spaces outside of the classroom where you can take breakout groups. And you know, we don't want all of the education just to be stuffed in a box. We try to bleed some of it out as possible. So we've identified some easy ones, just kind of naturally what we've picked up on, you know, for potential hubs. And then bus traffic. So one thing we'd really like to accomplish is to break your parent pickup traffic and your bus traffic apart, and just let them be two completely separate things. So there's two diagrams here. They essentially say the same thing, but the red is the queue of parent pickup. So what if we were to direct parent pickup to the front and, you know, have some kind of new canopy system there? And the yellow, of course, are your buses. So the left one shows what if your buses are double stacked. The right one shows what if your buses are single stacked. At the moment, and this is still very much in progress, but we're trying to push toward that double stack system and seeing if we can really cleanly get your buses to stack in that courtyard in a clean way and make it safe. So that's what we're working on. But you'll notice that we're proposing a new parking lot to the left. So if we can train your staff to use that parking lot, it'll really clear a lot of real estate of the existing parking lot so that we can use it for staging of parent pickup. And it should relieve some of your traffic pressures. And then we'll check this box maybe next month, but something that we will do as a part of this process is we're going to present to you what's called a Septet study. So Septet is crime prevention through environmental design. And basically it says when we designed this, we thought about crime prevention. We thought about trying not to make holes where kids want to spray paint. We try to make the entry not be inviting to be rammed by a vehicle. So we're gonna, continue to work on this and build it as we go. So with all that said, this is the new site plan. So you'll notice number 12 being the new parking lot, number 1 being the revised footprint of the school, which is a different. You'll notice it grows to the right. And you'll notice number 10, how the parking lot kind of goes under the school there to complete the loop so that buses can, do a complete 360 around the school. So very preliminarily, just looks at what this can start to look like, and this is deceiving. It's not as developed as it appears. So we're still working here, but potential. This is the potential courtyard. So again, we're still working on it, but you can kind of see just geometrically what it would look like to pull under this and get access to the back of the site. And then again, in progress, but the view from football field with the school really integrated to reach out and kind of join it and celebrate it.
We got the locker room right. You had like all the drawings on it.
We're almost there.
Yeah.
So that's where we are at the moment. Where we think we go from here, of course, we're here for feedback. We are really proud of how the big things have clicked in place. We think a lot of little things have a lot of ways to go. We think we need to report back to Mr. Phillips. We were having a conversation about resource rooms and how exactly those go about, and then we were having a conversation with your SRO officer about trying to improve that layout. So that's kind of where our head's at, is we're trying to get all those little blocks to sit exactly where they need to sit. But the big picture, we're very excited about.
So I think soaking it in. Angie has some questions, I can tell.
I do have a few, I guess. I mean, I'll always have questions. That's the only way I learn. As far as the buses, the traffic of the buses, will that be difficult for bus garage? I mean, the access, I seen you have a whole new exit to get out. I didn't realize there was that much room up there to do that. I guess, I mean, oh, okay. I guess if when you demolish the existing building.
We own quite a bit of land.
Will it probably exit across from Save-A-Lot? Was that, yeah, it'll exit across from Save-A-Lot.
And the only reason I'm asking that, which I know this is probably, on the back side of the bus garage, I guess it's never been thought to let that be an exit to get, could that be? I mean, I know there's a road up there, but I'm not for sure if
Probably
there's.
not for bus traffic.
Okay, I was just wondering about.
Maybe regular car
It's
traffic.
about as wide as this table.
Is it? Okay. I didn't know what all was up there.
Road's really narrow.
Okay.
It's-
I was just
So
curious.
as we're changing all that.
I think it's very impressive.
Oh,
I
yes.
just didn't realize, I'm actually kind of amazed because I'd heard conversations that, bring it down to meet and it was hard for me to visualize that.
Yeah.
So I think it looks wonderful. I'm excited. And I guess my other question, whenever you're finished with all your preliminary and everything that you do, my next question is, what you think from start to finish of the construction, how long of a span are we looking at? Because I'm thinking of instruction. What are we gonna do
Right.
with our kids?
Okay, Mr. Clark, help me. So we did outline a schedule, do you recall?
We did.
April.
It would have to be phased. That's something that we would need to talk to, the guys at Codell about too.
I can report back to you. We actually have laid a schedule out, and it's,
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot. First of all, just let me say, I think this is very impressive.
Yeah, I love it.
Very, very impressive.
Finished
I was-
product was February 2025. That was the.
And
Finished
beginning construction next April,
Okay.
so.
I was just curious, Angie, we have reasons to.
We're hoping our kids are gonna make it there. They're fifth graders this year.
Sure.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
well, we don't wanna let you
You
down.
are too, aren't you? Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Molly's there too.
So, first, I love the
love the courtyard and the bus pull through, but what are our thoughts on safety for that terraced area? Cause if they're out during lunch, whatever.
Right.
Have we thought about that?
I think that's where we need to continue to evolve it. I think the concept is there, for us, it's deceptively developed because it's really not as developed as it appears. You know, we kind of like lie and show the waffle slab and we lie and show the block. I'll just tell you the truth.
Sure.
That's
Sure,
appropriate.
But where we're at really behind the scenes is we're just trying to think of like geometry,
Right,
and we don't have all the nuance in it yet. So I think that's where we need to go next.
But I love it.
In some of our preliminary discussions, we have also talked about blocking that off, like during the day, like once buses have gone through, then, you know, that wouldn't remain
Right,
open
right.
all the time just for cars to freely
makes
travel
sense.
back and forth.
The lane that would go on the upper side of the school would be for two-way traffic. So buses could come in and go to the garage that way and not have to go through the school,
Okay.
through the school
Okay.
day.
Okay, that was gonna be,
Yeah.
that,
Mhm.
I was thinking because of noise, because,
So that would
On the
just be
upper side of
traveled
the
like
bus
at
garage,
morning
where
and
traffic
then
buses will
evening,
go out
and
that
then,
way. That'll also
and
be a
then
two-way
two-way.
road.
The upper drive would be
It
a
won't just
two-way
be
street.
one, it'll be a
Oh,
two-way
gotcha.
street, so during the day,
Very-
buses
this
can
is
come in.
very,
and
very
buses can leave
impressive.
that way without going
I
through
get,
the courtyard.
I'm excited now, even
Oh,
more so than
yeah.
what I was, you know,
The
and,
visual's great.
and, I think that this is something that our entire community will just, when they start being able to see something visual, they're just gonna be so excited about it also, so, wow, I mean,
And preserving, like you said, kind of the culture here and the heritage, yeah, I like
will
that.
you
think-
explain the gymatorium to me a little bit more though?
Sure. So,
Is it?
let's go back. Let's go here. So the concept is, and I think there was a reference, maybe Corbin.
Yeah, okay.
So, you know, your district helped bring this idea about, so we won't claim all the credit, but there was a reference in Corbin where they had done something similar. And so you get the auxiliary gym, but also some bleachers, some stage, some, you know, performance areas up top, and just try to make it a hybrid because, you know, at the end of the day, we have to hit a budget. We'll talk about those things later, but we're gonna bust the square footage if we try to build auditoriums and gyms and this and that. So if we can combine a few of them, I think it makes a lot of sense. And I really am excited about you all having the possibility of dueling courts, because if you can, rather than just build an auditorium, if you do the gymatorium, then you do have the dueling court system to host tournaments.
Now, is this something, like, you said this is preliminary and stuff, is this something that you will have to get KDE approval to build around an existing,
We are already having those conversations.
okay, I was just wondering, I was certain you probably had to
So
get their
yes,
approval.
you have a special, you know, it's a special circumstance, but we've already begun those conversations. We just think it's better just to do it. So we've already talked to Greg Dunbar and, you know, it's not all final yet, but they're talking to us. And kind of the take on it at the moment is that we treat it as a community center, you know, and then this new gym is your gym, but the existing gym is like bigger than the middle school. It's the community.
Right, okay, I like that.
With you having 8th grade down below and the others, is there gonna be an elevator?
Yes.
Well, like I said, I'm very excited. I can't wait till, you're coming back next month?
See you next month.
With more pictures?
More pictures.
Well,
So,
thank you so much.
Absolutely. So it'll be our desire. We'll come back next month. What we're going to do is we're going to seek schematic approval. So we have to get 3 approvals out of you all. Schematic, design development, and then construction drawings. So we're going to seek the first one. And really, it's low pressure from you all because there's nothing that you're approving next month that can't be corrected. It's just a process. So,
Well, thank you
Thank you.
very much. We appreciate
Thank
you, and it's very exciting for us.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, thank you as well.
Now my mind can
I don't know.
think. It was hard for me, but now I'm like, wow, of course. But otherwise, it's scared to do that way. so exciting. Item 4 is our operations and actions. We had a lot on there this month. Everything that I went over was pretty much routine stuff. Let me see, there was, the indirect costs, that's sent to us, Miss Jenny, from the state, isn't it? That's,
That is calculated by the state.
okay, yeah.
And we just make reference there, that the board has approved, should we utilize it for any grant, recovery of costs.
And the other thing, approved the educational specification for the middle school. I went over that, I think it was 80-some pages or something like that. It was a lot. And I'd asked Miss Carey some questions about it. I did have questions concerning and maybe this is, I'm going over this because maybe it's something you had a question. The state's pretty much sets what we can do as far as, enrollment numbers and stuff like that. Because I was curious, well, why can't we build and add 50 more students, in case this county were to grow by leaps and bounds, but it's not done quite that way, so.
So we did attempt to petition the state to add, to increase that, and it was denied, so
That's even something you petitioned more than once, wasn't it?
yes. Yeah, we've tried it a couple of times, so we're at that number, and we'll design accordingly.
And I did have one more question. The agreement for the visually impaired, we've done that
We
now.
have that, this is just renewing it for the
Okay.
coming school
Do
year.
we don't do anything like that for, we have a student that goes to the school for the deaf.
Yes, so that's we just work with the Kentucky School for the Deaf, so that's
okay,
just part
okay.
of.
Does anyone have any questions for operations and actions?
I was just gonna add, were there any big noticeable changes with the handbooks for the teachers or the coaches?
No, it's just the updates that KSBA does, those yearly updates based on if there's any changes in legislation.
Gotcha.
And so it was just standard, very standard.
No other questions? Need a motion to approve operations and actions?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Item 5A, review and approve the monthly financial reports. Miss Jenny?
Okay, you have your financial reports for the month ending in May. We're just cruising along, about to wrap up this fiscal year, but there in May you have your reports. If you have an opportunity to look at those, if you have any questions, you'll see that we're wrapping up our spending for the fiscal year. This June is really our month where we're finalizing payrolls and that type of thing, but for May, we've been, trying to work toward, closing out, the fiscal year.
Miss Jenny, I had a question. On your June payroll, what does that average out to be?
About $4.2 million. So it's 3 individual payrolls for $4.2 million.
Does anyone have any questions? No. If not, a motion to approve the financial reports by Ms. Jenny? Okay, first, need a second. All in favor? Item 5B, review and approve the Fidelity Performance Bond of Treasurer for the 22-23 fiscal year.
This is just the bond to cover myself as board treasurer, and we also have a separate bond that does not require to be board approval that covers our treasurers that are at the school level. So we pay that invoice for our schools, but this just covers me as serving as your board treasurer.
Move to approve.
Okay, got a motion, need a second? All in favor? Item 5C, review and approve the bond of depository pledge of collateral for Citizens Bank for 22-23 fiscal year.
This is just a standard annual procedure where we approve our bond of depository for each of the banks that we utilize. So the first one there is Citizens Bank, and you'll see reference the funds that are held by the bank. And once this is approved, we upload and certify this through the Kentucky Department of Education.
This is routine, it's done every year.
So there's one for Citizens and one for Community Trust, correct?
Yes.
This one is for citizens, need a motion to approve, I'm sorry.
Is there a number on Citizens? I didn't see that.
It is 3,025,000.
I thought that was,
That is. Yeah,
it's
citizens.
Citizens. It is, you're right. It's the other one that didn't, okay, never mind, I'm sorry. That one that didn't have a number.
And then here's the community trust one if you wanna look at it.
I got it right here.
Okay.
Oh, no. Yeah, so that was the one that didn't have a number.
It's on the page. I don't have a number on that, is it?
Is that right?
On, if we're on D, if you're looking at
I'm
that.
ahead of
it's-
you, Jenny, I apologize.
Oh, you're fine, you are fine. There are a couple different ways that you can reference that, that a bank can reference that either by the amount or by the percentage of the daily balance. And Community Trust has referenced that as 103% of current daily balances to certify, our depository.
Because it changes.
Changes daily.
Citizens does not.
Oh, that's where the actual, like, balance, the general budget is.
Item 5C, we need to make a motion to approve for the Citizens Bank.
Move to approve.
Yep, second.
All in favor? Item 5D, this is the one for Community Trust Bank where she just talked about the 103%. Need a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor? Item 5E, review and approve the insurance package for the 22-23 school year.
Houchin's Insurance Group has provided, an insurance package for you, and they have provided, a nice premium comparison. If you can go to that page, you'll see that for 21-22, our, premium totaled for the year, $201,535. Then for the current, upcoming year, they have given us 3 different proposals. The first with Liberty Mutual, and I'll explain the differences between the two Liberty Mutual. The first, is the deductibles at the same rates that we currently have in place. Utilizing, we did not have any significant, losses or, claims or anything like that. Our rates that we've received are just standard increases in the industry. If we renew at the current property, deductible, along with, we currently have, $1,000 deductible on each of our buses. The biggest difference, that makes this, premium a little bit higher is they have worked with KDE's, allocations to ensure increase the insurance on our buildings. So the value of our buildings have increased. So this brings us in line with KDE requirements. If we keep our current deductibles, we would be at an increase of $39,000 for insurance. In the second proposal, if we increase our deductible on property to $25,000 and our automobile deductible for our buses at $5,000 each, we would assume an increase of $21,587. So we do have, we have not had a large significant increase in our insurance for several years. The industry increasing along with the property values for all of our campuses had an increase. That has resulted in a change in our premium. EMC Insurance did come in with a proposal that is $52,000 more than what we are currently paying. Our recommendation would be to take the lowest proposal from Liberty Mutual at $223,122.
If you had one property damage thing that you had to pay a deductible on there, you've already ate that difference up.
We've had quite a bit of conversations
Going back.
about that, and we've had some analysis, Mr. Ken and I talked today about, okay, you know, if we had two buses hit each other, or, with Mr. Trent, if we had, an instance of a property damage, we would still, let's say we don't, we would still save money in a year. And just being, fiscally responsible, for this current year, knowing that, going into the next fiscal year, we would anticipate without any claims that we would be at a more level playing field on our quote, because we do have those property value increases that we're taking a hit on that, this year, that, that we would still be saving money.
So, Ms. Jenny, your recommendation is to take the 223,122, correct?
Yes. That would be the lowest proposal.
Okay, is anyone,
I move to approve that.
okay,
I'll second.
all in favor? Okay. Item 5F, review and approve the Frisky waiver for Roundstone Elementary School. Mr. Redford.
As you all know, our Friskies received an increase in allocation for next fiscal year. And because of that, just backing up a little bit, Roundstone Frisky historically has worked 202 days. Friskies work 240 generally. So this waiver, we've had this waiver in place for I guess since the center was there, for 202 days as opposed to 240. And essentially in the past, that allocation has been ate up by that salary. It's just been a wash essentially. The salary went to for the 200. That's why it's 202 days. Kind of an odd number there, but that salary went for those days. So we did I did the waiver just as it had been with the increase, and it was about a $5,000 increase. And they rejected the waiver, the state did, because they said that we couldn't have that much money left over. So we had to increase the number of days to pay the Frisky worker more, and they said the maximum we could have there is $1,500 left over from what's allocated. And you can see the allocation there with the salary. The good side to that is that Roundstone Frisky will have money left over for the first time ever, and the Frisky coordinator, Miss Melinda Osborne, she will get an increase. She'll have to work a few more days though, obviously. So I'm asking for this waiver to be approved, so that it would be 225 days. And again, the difference there is because of the increase in the center allocation this year, which is a positive. If you didn't do the waiver, if we didn't have the waiver, and she was 240 days, then the district would have to pay her out of the general fund, because it would be over that amount if she was 240. And it's because the Brownstone has 250 kids as opposed to Mount Vernon with 630 and Broadhead with 430.
Does, when we approve this, is there another Frisky coordinator that has the 225 days? I mean, is that already up? So we have to amend our salary to
We have to
schedule
amend
to
the salary schedule.
accommodate that.
All of our other Frisky
Is
coordinators
that on
have
the
been.
one that we're
through.
doing here?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
Mr. Rippert, will you clarify why the salary went down, the projected salary on this page? It says before waiver is 38, and then projected coordinator salary after waiver is 36.
Yeah, Jeannie, have you got that in front of you?
Is it, your sheet that's uploaded?
Yeah, it said projected coordinator salary after the waiver is 36,417.
So it went down. I was just trying to clarify that.
Let me look at it.
Yeah.
Because of the days, probably.
Should be increased, right?
Yeah, you're increasing them.
Oh, yeah, because she said 202.
It's with, so before the waiver, it's the salary with benefits. And then after the waiver, it's the adjustment of the number of days. So the employee is receiving the same daily rate as,
Before.
as before, and the same rate as, as other coordinators are
So her
receiving.
salary will go down?
Because it's based on the number of days. Rather than 240, it's based on 225.
But her salary's not.
Oh, so at 240, she would get 38,000, but at 225, she gets
And-
36.
and so
Oh.
Her salary before
It was not her, it was
That's
not
not her
that
salary.
program.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Her
that's what I
salary
was
before
very
was-
confused about.
was
Probably
32.
Yeah, that's what I was confused
That's at
about.
202
Yeah.
now, so
No,
her
it
salary's
just
not
didn't-
going down.
It didn't make sense to me.
So
Yeah.
coordinator's salary before waiver would mean at 240.
Yes, at that, yeah, at that point.
And the family resource, supervisor is just wanting to see what would that be if it was the full number of days. In order to, obtain the waiver, we have to justify.
It just did, yeah. It's a little hazy on that paper.
It's just the way it's kind of worded on there.
All right,
I'll move to approve.
okay, got a motion to approve, need a second? All in favor? Item 5G, review and approve the KSBA 2022 policy and procedure update. This is the first reading.
Yes, so this does require 2 readings. The first reading, we will do tonight. The second we will do in July, but you have those policies. So between now and July, you can review those, look for any discrepancies, look for anything that you question. And then when we come back in July, bring those questions or those concerns. And if there's anything we need to modify, then we can do that at that time.
Have you all started the checklist or whatever at the bottom? What you're wanting to do?
We typically do that at the end, and
Okay.
It's advisable to accept the KSBA recommendations and what they have provided, because that is all vetted through their attorneys.
And that's the blue,
Yes.
and the red's struck
Yes,
completely.
and so
Okay.
they modify these policies annually based on any legislation that is passed, and they have groups of attorneys that go through this and then provide these updates. So the recommendation basically is to accept what they recommend because they've already vetted that through their attorneys.
Is that what they did in blue?
Yes. So if there's anything that needs to be struck, they do that in the red.
Need a motion to approve the first reading.
Motion.
Need a second? All in favor? 5H, review and approve the non-resident policy for the school year 22-23. This is the second reading. We did the first one last night.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Well, we're just coming right along. Let's keep on going. I can't believe this. Item 5, I slept where am I at? Review and approve the local planning committee's finding to the Rockcastle County Schools District Facility Plan to address renovations to the Rockcastle County Middle School track and Rockcastle County Middle School football field. That's a lot to say.
Yes, in 5I, you have all the documents that were presented at the LPC meeting that you guys approved us to open back up last month. You'll find the agenda and the checklist required by KDE, as well as the updated DFP and the presentation that was made by Deco Architects. We went through the presentation, had some discussion about the finding, and everybody was really excited, like you guys were, to see the new middle school design, to add that to the DFP. We would like to have added more, but that was the we were limited to that in a finding. So we just ask that you would approve the finding process, and we could move down the road with the checklist and get that back to KDE. As soon as we can.
This might not be the time to ask, and it's okay if it's not, but what are we looking at doing beyond what we saw on there in terms of resurfacing the track? What?
Right now, because of the
On the wrong page.
financial value that KDE limits you to, which is basically 1 to 2% of your DFP, we could only add the track and the football field. But in that document, if you look down in the presentation, there are other things on there. Let me find that. It's sideways. It might be a little hard to see. It's from Codell.
Miss Madden was laughing at me online right now.
It's the grandstands, the field house, new fence, field lighting, and soft costs. It's what we would eventually want to wrap up. Basically, everything but the visitors bleachers would need to be.
I think that 200,000 is going to do the track, or is that just surfacing?
That'd do the track. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. I
Yeah.
mean, because there was a lot of, I guess there's standards. There's a lot of those standards.
We'll have to go from 6 lanes to 8 lanes.
And I was
So that
looking at all
was
the
a
other
lot of-
stuff too. Yeah. Just
Yeah.
A lot of
standards.
discussion that took place at the LPC is the way that that track is currently constructed, it's not in compliance with KHSA
Right,
regulations,
yeah.
so we can't have meets.
Yeah. Yeah, I was looking at all their regulations in here, and I was just curious if that was gonna, it's cool. It's exciting. So will the grandstands will be bigger, larger, wider
Yes,
from the,
Mhm.
okay, that's great.
they would span the length of the school.
Okay.
So will we keep what we have and add on to it, or just totally do away with what we have?
I think we were probably looking at totally doing away with what we have. That concrete is really old and brittle, and it's chipped up in a lot of places. Provides, it's really a safety hazard. We may look at skimming some of that even now to get by until then, in-house, just to kind of bring it up to snuff. But I think it would require a total demolition of that and you know, a new totaling system to be installed.
And he had the locker room still on there. Is that something they're thinking about building new, or is that?
We hope to incorporate that within the school.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. It said, yeah.
That's kind of those small things that Derek referred to that were, you know, the kind of the things that we're gonna move toward, in, you know, getting the design finalized. They've done some hard work to get to where they are right now.
I love it. I love
But
it.
anything that we can do to tuck in under, in that basement area,
That's what I was wondering about.
that if, instead of having to construct new locker rooms in a standalone system, if we could tuck it in underneath there, the
Saving
concessions, or then it will save costs.
Well, and that's what a lot of people are doing. I mean, when you go to some of these newer built facilities, and you've even got facilities underneath the locker rooms. So, to keep from expanding out.
I make a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
I do.
second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Trent, for all your work. 5J, review and approve the amended salary schedule.
You have, the amendment for the salary schedule, and they're really just, some very minor things. We found in reviewing, some of our contracts and grants, that we had a couple of positions that, because of the grant and the number of days that are designated in the grant application and in the approval process, that we needed to correct that on the salary schedule. So we have highlighted, those are in yellow, you should be able to see those, that there's just a couple on the front page there. We've talked tonight about the waiver for Roundstone, and that has been reflected. And previously, the board approved 2 substitute positions at daily wage threshold. And, after we went back and, Ms. Carey and I were having some conversation, we were like, oh, we wanted to put that on the salary schedule this year. So we've made that reference on the salary schedule.
And that is just for one more upcoming year is what that was approved for, last year and this year, so that's reflected on here.
Can you explain that to me? What?
Yes, so the board approved hiring, because of teacher shortage and because of our needs for COVID, for last school year and this school year, bringing back retired teachers and paying them to substitute for us at their daily wage threshold.
Okay.
Not substituting, moving around from different schools, but being in a needed position.
It's almost like a permanent, but not permanent
Yes,
position.
Okay.
isn't it?
yes, and
Thank you.
utilizing substitute teachers in that
full-time,
capacity.
part-time.
And it was only approved for 2.
Full-time temporary.
Okay.
All right. Do you have anything else, Ms. Judy?
If you have any questions about, those changes, we just wanted to, make sure that we are aligning with any grants that we have and the positions that are approved in those grants.
We appreciate that.
Okay. Need a motion to approve this amended salary
I'll
schedule.
move to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Item 6A, review the superintendent's personnel action report.
So you all have that in your uploaded documents. As you know, summertime is a busy time for us in this department, but you can look over that to see if you have any questions.
And I always like to clarify this, just in case anybody, these digital learning coaches is in addition to the teacher. This is not taking them out of the classroom, is that correct?
Correct. This is
I'd
just
like
a
to clarify that,
supplement.
yes.
Yes, they will receive that supplement, $500 stipend.
$500 stipend.
That's great.
Yes.
That's great for that.
I think I've asked this before, forgive me if I have, but like the assistant football coach and all those coaches, like, is that like, they go out, but then they come back in? No?
No,
Okay.
so some of these are retirements.
Okay.
These are just people no longer, and the resignations no longer wanting to participate in
Okay.
that.
And those
I'm thinking of
change a
something
lot,
else.
have
Okay.
always. A lot of them will help while their child is in that age
Grade.
group, and then they move on, you know.
Gotcha.
All right, department reports?
So I just uploaded our daily route mileages. I thought those were good numbers to kind of look at, especially since we're in the middle of reporting season and a lot of what we're doing right now. So you can see our daily, for just regular routes, 2,783 miles. Midday routes, about 358. So most days, majority of our school days, 3,141 miles. You know, a lot of times it comes up a lot. How many miles do you drive a day? Well, it's around 3,000 miles. So, and again, that's an estimated, rounded. It's not an exact number by no means. It can vary from day to day, semester to semester, month to month. That's not an exact number. But next month I'll come back with our overall odometer mileage, and that will be an exact number, because you take from you know, July 1 of last year to June 30th of this year, and we'll read those mileages, those odometers, and that'll be an exact number. Oh, yeah, any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Kim.
I just have listed there some summer PD opportunities that some of our teachers are participating in this summer. So there's several opportunities for them. And then also for preschool, our first day of preschool is set for August the 29th. We just finished up those preschool screenings and registration, and we've still had parents calling, so we'll probably do it another day in August when we come back, just to get some of those that missed some of those appointments. And then there's a couple of preschool specific trainings and things that we're participating in too.
I had a question about preschool. I'm sorry I didn't look at your numbers. I apologize, but I will after a while. How many have we got enrolled for preschool right now?
I can get that number for you. I didn't have it prepared for tonight, but it's more than what we had for last year. I can tell you that. We had a lot turn out for screenings that, you know, interested in preschool, and then we just have to look at those that will meet eligibility. So yeah. I'll probably know a little closer to August, you know, a more precise number, I guess, for that.
I guess the reason I was asking, I was talking to a lady the other day, and last year she tried to get her child enrolled in preschool, and they didn't get to go. And she asked me, well, how many kids did you all turn down? That was what her question was to me, and I was like,
It's based on, like, you know, income and children with disabilities, so.
Well, her child has somewhat of a, I mean, could have benefited, but I understand. So I was just wondering.
She just needs to give me a call. I mean, I don't know who you're talking about, but.
Yeah, well, I think she ended up going to CAP, but she, you know, but she asked me that, and I was like, I really don't know. I'm sorry.
Encourage her to call, so
Yeah.
we can work with her.
Yeah.
I assume that number will probably increase next year and even more than next year, because everybody's in their home.
I think COVID slowed things down, but it was encouraging to see the turnout that we had, so.
Sure. Thanks, Ms. Heather.
As you all know, we've been working with the city on a COPS grant to try to obtain 2 more SROs. That was finalized and submitted today. I got an email a little bit ago, so I'm be anxiously waiting to see if we get that. And the city, you know, we've worked very closely with them in supplying information and data to our grant writers, so excited about that. We met last Tuesday with emergency personnel, and we got some calls after the incident in Texas, the school shooting, from just concerned community members, parents, about school safety and things of that nature. And so we thought it was important to try to bring everybody together. We had a great turnout. We had representative, I hate to start naming agencies because I'd leave somebody out, but we had a lot.
I really think we had every agency represented in the county, and everyone attended that was invited.
That's wonderful. That's good.
And it's just this is the beginning. It was really a pre-planning meeting. We kind of identified areas where we could work together, and we also divided up areas of responsibility in the event of a emergency management scenario, which could include a lot of things. I wanted to inform Mr. Tom and I wanted to inform the folks that were there, really what we've done and what we do if we had for instance, a lockdown procedure. You know, the 911 dispatch probably had no idea exactly what happens when we go on a lockdown. Ambulance service may not know either, so we want to just clarify some of those things. And then Mr. Ryan Loudermilk has agreed to step up and take the next phase of that. And so we're looking forward to working with him. Of course, he's protected with KSP and doing some exercises with them. So we're looking forward to collaborating with them, and not just Rockcastle County Schools, but really all of our agencies. And some of that will be more their preparation than ours, but looking at some things that we can do with that. So we're real excited about that, and just making sure that we're doing all that we can to make sure that we are prepared for any kind of event. You know, there's all kinds of emergency events that can happen, and so we want to be prepared for that. As far as summer school goes, I added some things to my notes. I hope you all saw that, but Ms. Mattingly uploaded that for me this afternoon. Broadhead had their Tiger Camp. That's frisky dollars that she had left over that she was allowed to have her Tiger Camp. She had 36 campers. They had a great 2 or 3 days. She took them to the Cincinnati Zoo there on the last day, and I think they had a great day. And then the high school and middle school also had summer school. Middle school had 20 students. And high school and middle school, it's a little bit different. High school is basically credit recovery, and middle school is to a large extent remediation. The 20 middle schoolers and 39 high schoolers attended and were able to successfully complete coursework and things of that nature. So it was a success. It started May 31st, went through June 7th, and it was a successful few days.
Mr. Rippert, do you know what the final graduation number was for us?
I think right off the top of my head, maybe 202, something like that. Now that's including academy. We had students at the academy that also graduated. I think that was 202, right?
Do you know about what our percentages, graduation rate for this?
Well, June 15th is a big day. That's when we have to enter in G codes. So we did that today. I don't have a percentage, but I've got a number in my head. We were not as good as we were last year, but still I was pleased at where we're at with our number of students that graduated. You know, we do everything we can to try to get them across the line, and we've been working, Mr. McClure, Mr. Bussell, and I collaborating, working as close as we can over the last couple of weeks to get some of that line, and we were with some, couple we weren't, so we're sad about that, but our percentage will be in the high 90s. Well, I think last year it was like 98.
I didn't realize you had to put that report in by tomorrow. I probably wouldn't ask you that.
Got a little bit of time left. You know, we have some students that working on some credit recovery classes.
That's good.
It's up to them to get it finished.
Whether or not
So deadline is looming.
I just have some information on the SROs. So I know it was in the paper. What do you anticipate? You think we're going to get somebody? Do you think somebody will step forward to do that?
Yeah, I think definitely. You know, even if we're probably not going to know about the grant by August.
Correct.
You know, August 17th, first day of school.
I knew there was just some concern that they can't keep, you know, their own employees.
Well, we're not going to get 5 by August 1st.
No,
that's not going to happen. You know, I'm hopeful that we'll have at least one, whether we get the grant or not. That's our goal. City understands that's our goal.
And because this is all the new KSBA stuff, right? This is part of the new.
This is the new law.
Or they, I guess, for bigger school districts, they do their own department. Correct. That was one of the options.
Some do, and
Some
you can,
do.
and we could do that.
But I mean, I know that's a
But
lot.
that's an expense. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just
at
saw
this
that.
Point, I mean, that maybe somewhat down the road, I don't think that's a viable option for us right now. So
It
we're
has
at the
to be
mercy of the
right.
agency, and the city has been great. They have, and our goal is to have at least one more SRO by the time school starts. And then if we're approved for the grant, then that'll open up dollars for another. But again, there's a lot of things that play into this. You know, trying to find, you know, we want the right person.
I
And
didn't
law
know-
enforcement officers right now, you know, the state police gave a big raise. I saw where the city PD of Richmond gave a big raise for beginning officers. So it's harder for a smaller agency like MVPD to retain officers, to keep officers, to recruit officers. And it's just, we know it's hard for, I saw with Fayette County, they had 228 jobs just across the board. So everyone is looking for them. That's classified, certified, and everything. But everyone's, you know, we're all in the same boat. So getting good officers that are qualified is a challenge.
I didn't know if it was something they're promoting as that such too, like, you know, for somebody who wants to go through the training in the academy. I know they have other duties as well through this Mount Vernon PD, is that right?
Yeah, and it depends on, you know, Mr. Tom's, you know, he's a retired officer.
Yes.
So he doesn't have duties with the MVPD as it stands right now, but that's kind of up to them. That will be up to Mount Vernon Police Department.
I was just thinking of, you know,
moving forward.
recruitment is what I was thinking. Some people may be enticed by this. You know what I mean? There may be.
Yeah, and we definitely.
With a salary that we're paying, I don't know.
You never know. There may be a retired guy out there who wants to go through and just, you know, do
Well,
this.
yeah,
You know,
sure,
you never
yeah.
know. Somebody may need to, you know, really feels the need to step up, but they may not have been a former cop and wants to do it, you know, come through it.
What about, okay, a friend of mine, her child goes to a school in Madison County, and they have parents that come in, and I guess they play the role of,
No, please. It's the dad's program.
The dad's
Watchdog,
program.
watchdog dads.
okay. If we got to the point that, we could not get SRO officers, but the state, would they ever allow something like that to?
Not for, it has to be a certified officer to fulfill the requirements of that law. So, you know, I know there are other programs out there that may help with, security to some extent, and I don't know exactly what you're
Yeah, that's
talking
what
about.
it
I'm sure
is. That's
you
exactly
all probably
what it
know
is.
better. You
Yeah.
all worked in Madison
Yeah.
County, but that wouldn't satisfy the requirements of the law. And, you know, I think we have to be very careful about that.
Oh, yeah,
Not-
I agree
Not
with
to
that,
say
yeah.
that there's not other options. Mr. Tom and I have been talking about some other options. But, you know, it's, we know that regardless of what the law says, we know there's a need. We know there's a need. Everyone understands that. It's just trying to find, obviously, with funding, with personnel, with training, and with our unique school environments, finding the person to fit all of those, check all those boxes, so that we can make our schools safe as can be. So, you know, we're doing everything that we can to, we know it's on everyone's mind. And there's a lot, you know, with school safety, it's more than just an SRO. There's things that we've internally that we've got to improve on, procedures that are in place that we've got to, you know, to look at the situation there in Texas. There's some things that happened that, you know, that we try to emphasize to make sure that we are following protocol, and so that to prevent those kind of things from happening. So it's the issue is school safety is there's a lot of components to it. And then certainly SROs are a critical part of that, no doubt about it. We want to expand that part of it, but we also have to improve some of these others. You know, again, collaborating with outside agencies for a response to any kind of event. Sure. Despite you know, if we had a medical situation, the ambulance comes to schools, you know, whatever the circumstance is, making sure that those protocols are followed, so that we take care of our kids.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin.
Thank you. So, at this point of the year, we're kind of wrapping everything up, and we're starting the ball rolling for next year instructionally. But tomorrow ends our final wrap up everything with assessment, state assessment. We have to make sure that all the rosters were accounted for. Everybody that we're supposed to get scores for are on there. And kiddos that moved in that are not 100 days are where they're supposed to be. So that closes tonight at midnight. And then we'll have another fall cleanup day when individual scores are released early October, end of September. What the state did announce last week is in the fall, they're gonna let all seniors that want to take the ACT free of charge during the fall windows. So any senior next year that would like to retake their ACT can, and the state will be paying for that. our year 3 for the LIFT grant is underway. We have teachers right now that are in Lexington doing our Renaissance grant, and we have teachers all over the state going to different literacy trainings, starting this week actually. And then we're spending a lot of time getting ready for our August the 5th PD day and other PD days that are going to take place the week of the 8th, and getting teachers back into working on standards and some instructional strategies. We have some people coming in from SESE that'll lead those. It's already time for our principals at the elementary schools to start thinking about Title I and documentation for that next year. So as they're planning their back to school nights, I've talked to them of go ahead and have that meeting, talk to parents about this is a Title I school, what does that mean, having those agendas and those sign-in sheets so we can start all of that documentation for federal programs for next year. That's really kind of everything. It's all kind of wrapping up all at one time so we can start rolling next year.
This is sort of a vague question, okay? But, you know, we talked instruction. So what is your next step? What are you wanting to?
So we are part of Deeper Learning, which is a statewide grant that KDE has put out. And with the help of SESC, which is our co-op, we are working on more standards work and really going in depth. And the whole title of the grant is called Deeper Learning. And we have a representative from each school that is helping with that. And we are really going to dive into standards. By the end of the year at the elementary schools, we're going to have all of our standards deconstructed for reading and math. And we're going to begin our assessment plans, writing assessment questions that match the standards. The middle school, high school feel that they're already ready for that. So at the beginning of the year, we're going to sit down and start writing really good test questions and formative questions and some, so we can really get really good data to see what our kids know and what they don't know.
How's our curriculum search going?
We have ordered books and we are just waiting on them to be delivered right now.
Yay!
Yes.
Yes, and that's from is that high school, middle school, or
Middle school, high school.
Okay, couldn't remember.
Yeah, and we've already completed that for the elementary.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm gonna go back to Miss Hubbard. Gifted and talented, how is that coming?
That's Jessica.
So sorry. Jessica, Miss Willis, gifted and talented, how's that coming?
It is coming along phenomenally. We had interviews last week for our position, and we're just kind of waiting on a couple things for that. But we have a really good plan in place.
So should hit the ground running this year.
It should be.
Yes.
Yes. We'll be able to
Finalized
finalize that within the next week,
Yeah.
that position.
Thank you.
Okay, I have another question. I have a cousin goes to Southern, okay? And something was offered to them. They could do some type of 2-week course through their high school to get college credit this summer. Do you know?
Oh, I've had
You don't know
my
that?
niece does the same thing through Taylor County. So I was just curious if that's anything we've ever thought about offering. Summer classes online.
I was just
Is
curious
that through a
if that was
grant?
something.
Possibly, maybe.
Taylor County was doing the same thing. She's a sophomore. She'll be a sophomore. So she was doing a class between her freshman and sophomore year.
So we need to explore that option.
And you might could even contact
Yeah,
Caden, you
I'll
know,
find out. We can
Caden
find
was
out
one
at
of her
Madison.
former students.
Just curious.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
that's a
favorite
good
teacher,
thought.
Harry.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had said that, and he had actually missed that window to sign up, and he was really bummed because, and it was a course that he wasn't gonna have to pay out of pocket for either. So, I mean, you know, he was, so.
And I think one of hers was actual it might be in the finance class or one of the other classes that you have to meet the criteria, not a core class, but one of the others, and she's
Like a
just gone
prerequisite.
and got it out of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was Taylor County's high school.
We could explore.
Yes.
Oh,
That would be a
love that.
wonderful option to offer our kids.
Yes.
Yeah, especially in summertime too, so you know.
Do we still do on-site college classes, like at night classes? We don't do those anymore, do we?
Just dual credit, correct?
Just dual credit and AP.
They still take them, just online.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Winter.
I like to always attach the construction report for Mount Vernon Elementary. It's I kind of feel like it gets overshadowed sometimes by this new middle school work. That is very important work and a big job that's going on there.
Yes.
It's going very well, so you don't hear much about it. I think the work that we capture early is very important to my mental health, at least. We usually meet every couple of weeks, all the contractors together here, and have an update and kind of go through everything. One of my main questions to them was, do we have everything that we need to finish this job? And their answer was yes. The only thing that we don't have is some duct work. which shouldn't be very hard to get it all. I think that was probably the limiting factor. Everybody's bringing a good sized workforce to the job. They're working from the time they get there till the time they go home. They're doing a really good job. Jerry, with CMTA, he's cracking the whip on them when he needs to. And I just feel like that it's going really well. And when the students and staff come back to Mount Vernon Elementary, they're going to have a different environment to learn in and to work in. And I hope that it's everything that we think it will be for them. And it's a really good project. And I'm thankful that you guys let us do that, because it's going to be a great outcome for Mount Vernon Elementary for sure.
So we don't have any staff at Mount Vernon Elementary right now?
We do have
Maybe
custodians that are there.
okay.
They're working on some of the rooms right now. Second floor, as far as mechanical wise, we've got some things like fire alarm and data and other things that be going in and out. But they're working on cleaning classrooms and having them. They're kind of, when they shut the door on them, they're really not going back in there and doing very much. So maybe toward the end, hopefully, we might be able to get in there and do a top coat of wax. Maybe, hopefully, we'll just have to see how it works out. One of the main goals for the project, those 3 big units you see on the top, the makeup air units on top, if we can get those going, we can get some air circulating again. So that's a goal, and that'll be, allow them to maybe do a little bit of waxing and dry things. But if we can finish it up in stages the way we're hoping to, the building's going to be clean regardless, but we would like to have shiny floors, and we're doing everything we can to get down the road as far as we can. But it's a good project. I've been well pleased.
Thank you, Mr. Trent.
Hey, I hope everyone had, did you have an envelope in your packet tonight? That is your information that you'll need to log into Ksba. So in the top corner there, you'll find your employee number, and there's some instructions inside your envelope there. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer those for you. That has been a very smooth process and provides real-time data for our employees. So we were excited to get that off the ground and running in a very efficient way. Long-term cost savings with staff time and resources. Just a few notes there, just if you like numbers, just, the quantity of, documents, and we continue to explore ways that we can be more efficient in the finance area. Oftentimes it comes down to having time to implement the process. So we're looking at ways to continually improve. And just some notes there, it's time to do lots of work to update budgets, and we'll be working with our human resources staff to update, if we have staff that have, completed maybe a certification or a rank change this year. We'll be working on our step increases for next year. So lots of work to do this summer just to get ready to roll for next school year.
Do you give them a time frame to let you know about?
Yes.
You do.
Employees have to complete any rank change by the time school starts. Occasionally, if we have someone that's waiting on a document from, a university, they keep us very much apprised of that information, and we know, that they are in the process of completing and just waiting on a document of certification.
Thank you, Ms. Tina.
So if our check isn't direct deposited already with you all, it will need to be?
It will need to be, yes.
And we do it all through this, or do we need to bring anything into you?
If you have not given us a form, let me know, and I will provide you one, and we'll have that set up. All employees are direct deposits.
I don't have a form.
I don't either.
We'll get you one.
I missed that. Thank you, Ms.
I think we were holding off just to this last. We wanted to get you up and going and set up, and I think we had just held off to last. We saved the best to last.
Well, I don't know about the best.
The oldies.
The headaches to last, maybe.
We would like for you, if you could do that by the time
starts, in the new fiscal year, that would be great.
So my report, I've got several things on there, but I'll just talk quickly, maybe, hopefully. New Canyon copiers are a project we're doing. We're kind of still waiting on those. We expect those to be here soon. We have a meeting this next week, I guess, this week, Thursday. Of course, the website, Ms. Mangley's working on that, and individual school websites launched. That'll happen soon, and there'll be an iOS Google Play app. I've announced that. That'll happen this summer, so I'll have all the dates for that. I listed digital learning coaches. You guys saw that they were hired. Remember, that's a $500 stipend, not a new position or anything. Just somebody to help, somebody to go to some trainings. I went today to a digital learning summit in Elizabethtown. I went last night. That's why I wasn't here last night. I went last night because I had to be there at 8 and it was a big drive. So I went today to the digital learning summit. There's about 300 or 400 digital learning coaches throughout the state now, so it's a big group. It was neat to see all those people in the same room. Lots of neat teachers that really love technology, really love, and not just technology, really love standards, really love teaching, and have a great skill at using technology. So it's neat to see those people be in the same room. Our digital learning coaches will have an onboarding with Laura Raganos next week. So she is a state digital learning coach. That's her job. She's a state digital learning coach. So she's an onboarding. She'll talk with them directly about things the state can provide, how they can help us, and things they can go to. There's a training on July the 18th that I'll ask them to go to. It's at Southwestern Pulaski. It's a teach meet. It's a really neat. It's led by teachers, for teachers, technology training. So it's a really neat training. So we'll ask them to go to that training. We've hired Kayla, the one you gave me 2 new positions. One of those positions is been hired, and that's Kayla Adams. And she was already employed, but this position is a little more money for her. So one of those is Kayla Adams. The other person is Eric Jordison. So he will start July 1st.
Oh, Susan.
Yeah.
So he will start July the 1st. Kayla's role will start July the 1st as well. So she's still in her old job title.
So
And
will
then,
you publicize her old job?
And we will, part of the changes tonight was to lower those, on the salary schedule, was to lower her days down. So I wasn't trying to be greedy, but those jobs are 248, which is great. But her old job will go down to 205. So there'll be less days, with 2 other positions, still have a great need during the school year more than during the summer. And then in a lot of that summer work, I still hope to use a co-op student. I've got 3 students now helping with one former student one former student who just graduated, Gary, and then 2 students that are juniors. They're both helping now, but a lot of that work is peeling off stickers off Chromebooks and cleaning Chromebook screens, and so we have that need, but we're able to use some students. We got some good ones. We got some good students that are good. But so a lot of that work is, we're still going to need some of those people. I still want to keep a co-op student. I still want to do some stuff with help desks in schools. There's still some other things that I want to do, but anyway, we thought that other job, it could be as efficient at 205 days. That's basically 10 days before school, 10 days after school. They'll have the summers off, so we're excited about that. And then, so they're working now, cleaning Chromebooks, setting them up, getting them all cleaned off, making sure they're fixed. There's a stack of probably, yesterday, I didn't see them today. Yesterday, there was a stack of probably 100 that are broken. So there's a lot. So we'll get all those ready and get those ready before school. Another thing that I'll mention is we're going to offer a voluntary $25 technology fee. I'll encourage parents to pay that. It's not required, but it is a cheap. But then and then we're real clear in the student handbook about a pricing structure for damaged Chromebooks. So if it just stops working, there's no fee. We're not charging for that. But if it's clear that a student threw the Chromebook down, treated it badly, screen's cracked in many pieces, keys are popped off, and just some of the crazy things we've seen, then there's a real good pricing structure. Like, this is how much we're going to bill you for. That $25 fee is less than all of that. So what we're hoping is some people will pay that $10 fee to help them. Our goal is to help parents. We know that. We didn't want to make it mandatory, but it will help parents if they pay that $25 fee, because if they break the screen, it won't be a $50 fee, right? It'll be a $25 fee.
And that's
Or
a fee, not a refundable.
Uh,
It's a fee, not a refundable thing
It's a
if
fee,
the,
not a refundable.
if the computer's never
but
broken.
it would be reoccurring, if they didn't use it for
One-time
12
fee, one time, or
Yes, that's.
not
fine.
yearly.
Yeah, not,
Okay.
yeah. And I even put in the student handbook that we wanted it paid by the end of August. That way, it'll help us too. Collecting a fee is something that's become a problem, right? For me to collect a fee, we'll have to send a bill, collect the fee. We're trying to work on that too, but it's a lot of work just to get a $50 fee from a student who broke their Chromebook. Takes a lot of time. So if they pay that ahead of time, we're like, oh, the student's already paid his fee. We'll check the box, get the Chromebook back, get it fixed, and it's all taken care of in the month of August. That way we have all that documented. It'll just improve that process throughout the whole year. And after that, we'll just go to that pricing structure. That's where we'll be. Student handbook pricing structure, a broken screen, normal Chromebook screen is $50. And then in some of those, if there's a chance, we always try to help the parents any way we can. I can't stress that enough. If we can use a warranty, we will. The problem is Chromebook warranties are yearly, but they're yearly from the occurrence of damage. So if a student broke their Chromebook on the last day of school, then their Chromebook does not have a warranty until next year around the last day of school. Does that make sense? So I can't always guarantee that they have a warranty before we said, oh, if you break it once, then that's what we'll do. Now I just can't guarantee that anymore. So it gets way more complicated. But we will always try to help the parents any way we can.
So will kids get their same Chromebooks back that they had the year prior?
In most cases. Kindergartens, of course, will get new ones. Next year's fifth graders will get new ones. Ninth graders will get new ones. And in other cases, they will. Some cases, they won't. If there's damage now, if that Chromebook's an older model, if it's scratched up really bad, we might trade it out if we have a different one. Because we do have senior Chromebooks that graduated that we have that to pull from, right? So we will swap out where we can, always giving a better device than the device they had before, right? They will not get a worse device.
I'm just curious. I'm sorry, Angie. Go ahead.
I just don't know if you got them all back.
That was the very thing I was gonna
There you go.
ask.
We
just
did
think
not
about
get them all back. We are
Just
still
curious.
working on that. Like Mr. Ripper said, we still have some students, we've had some students still finishing up literally until today, tomorrow. So some of those students still have them. We got most of them back.
But I know like the last week of class, say, they had a day that was Chromebook check day at the high school.
Right. Literally, teacher said, hold your Chromebook up in the air and let me see your name on the bottom of it, or at least I know you have one. Right, that worked
And
pretty
then they
good.
kept them in like their homeroom charging, and then they used them and they returned them, like that last week, and that probably helped.
In the other schools, it was everywhere but the high school, it was a week earlier, so it was a week before, so we had an additional period of time to try to get those back. It's hard, it's hard. Kids mental health, they want that device, they hold on to that. If they don't have a phone, I mean, you guys know that. You
Yeah,
take away
they
your kid's
want it.
phone, they cry,
That's how I
they take away
punish
their
my
Chromebook,
kids, yeah.
and they get upset.
Take away our phone.
I mean, I understand the need to get them back, but I felt like what the high school did worked really well, in the sense they were able to use the Chromebooks up till the last day or two. The middle school, it felt like they basically had to shut down a week early because they didn't have Chromebooks. So I know the balance. I know there's got to be balance there, but I thought that what the high school did seemed like it worked and worked well.
So the high school, it wasn't the last week or so, it was the last block of the last day of that period of time. It was a huge deal. And I guess what I would say, I understand, and certainly we can tweak that middle school schedule. We could collect the kindergarten Chromebook, and we did. We collected the kindergarten Chromebook better. When we looked at that, we collected it, but they were gonna have their 8th grade trip. I think they were gonna have their 8th grade trip.
And the high school has finals.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they need that Chromebook up until they take that
Yeah,
final.
for sure.
The fourth
The
period
high
finals
school,
we might as well take
Right.
before
we
school
couldn't
out.
do it like high school because it was really hard.
I'm just
And we
curious, how
still
much
didn't get all those
instruction is
buses
there that
back
last
there.
week?
That was the biggest problem.
At the high school.
We didn't
I mean,
have
at the lower
I
level,
wanted to have
I
them
wanna
on
say.
Sure,
And
absolutely.
certainly we can tweak that middle
I
school
thought it
schedule,
went well at the
because,
high
they
school.
should need it more than the kindergarten.
Right.
But yeah, it's all hands on decks to collect those.
Oh, yeah,
For
sure.
To scan them and know, hey, we got this one or we didn't, and look at chargers and how many chargers we got. Chargers are still, we get most Chromebooks, chargers are still the largest problem.
Oh, yeah.
When I set that $25 technology fee, my real thoughts in my brain are, hey, that will buy us a charger, right? That will buy us a charger, because thousands of dollars in chargers, and again, with a warranty, they have one, but the parents don't bring it to us. They say, oh, my dog chewed, and they just throw it away. Then we never have it, even though Dale would have fixed it, potentially could have fixed it. We can't get it fixed if we can't produce a broken one.
Electric tape.
We put things in a full plastic baggie and pack them around on it.
So the last thing that I talked about is yearly security updates. So each year, we're supposed to talk to you about security plans, network security plans. So I'm just gonna tell you a few things we do every year. Every year at the beginning of school, I talk to all staff. It's always a general update, but I always mention phishing, I always mention email passwords. They all have to change their passwords. They get an email automatically at 7 something in the morning. It's an automatic email. Once their password is 3 months old, they have to change it. Their email password is the same as their Infinite Campus password. It's the same as their Google password. So it's the same as their Google Drive password. So it's all kind of one password. So they all get that email. They have to change it regularly. Has to be 15 characters. We don't make them be special characters or capital letters or any of that stuff, because the studies show that if it's 15 characters long, that's enough that it's really hard to break, because it would take, I don't know, I'm gonna say like 10 years for a password cracker to brute force that password. So you don't really need special characters unless it's a lot shorter. So we do that. I talk about that every year. And then just an update that Social Security numbers, personally identifiable information. If it's sent an email, if I type in a Social Security number and send it to Miss Jessica, it will not go through. It will recognize that number in that format as a Social Security number. It will stop it. So that's another thing we don't do that. Teachers don't deal with those anyway, but it's just protected. Bank account numbers are the same way, just general practice. We do keep email, Google Drive records, file records. I put a minimum of 5 years. Our actual policy is forever, but Google has a policy of 5 years. We can't go beyond that. So those records are there for 5 years, so we have those if we need them. We can always pull data if we have to. So that, and then, data inventories are managed mostly, that's Munis and Infinite Campus. So Infinite Campus people, Mr. Rippert looks at those rights every year. He's done it again this year. People only have the rights for schools that they need for information for students. They only have the right for the grade levels they need. Family resource coordinators have a little more rights because they need to see some free and reduced stuff, but a teacher can't tell if a child is free or reduced lunch. They can't see a lot of I guess they can see the POP stuff, some of the POP stuff they can't see. Some of the behavior stuff they can't see. Everybody's rights are limited to what they need. So that's another way that we protect student information. Munis is another example. Of course, there's only a handful of people that have access to Munis in the district. I do not have access to Munis in the district. If I need access, I say, hey, Jeannie, I need this, and she'll give it to me. But, not access, give me that information that I need. But that's just.
Whatever.
I work in Munis a lot, and I say 15 times, Jeannie, come type in your password, Jeannie, come type in. But just to be clear, like I don't even have access to Munis. So if I need information, I don't have access to that. The eStub thing, I don't have access to that. I don't work with that inside that. But we limit. Just to be clear that we try to protect everybody's information as much as we can. It wasn't on the agenda this month, but we're looking at cyber insurance again, right? So we'll look at cyber insurance again to help us a little more. It's just more of a need now than ever before. And then Jeannie uses two-factor authentication for Munis, so when she logs in, she has to do it on her phone.
Every time you log in, you have to do that, Jenny?
Not every single time, but if I change anything, related to the way I log in, yes.
If it's a new device every time, and if her password's changed, which she has to change more often for Munis, then she'd have to kind of re-authenticate that. So, we're supposed to give you a yearly update. This is your yearly update. We're doing what we can, but it's a growing problem everywhere.
I was telling Carrie, it would be hard for me to come up with 15.
Past phrases. They need to be past
Yeah,
phrases.
I'm sitting here trying to think of all my passwords, what I could,
It's hard. People complain. They're used to it now. They'll throw a number at the end and it's 15 characters. They get used to it, but it is true. I like quotes. I always use a quote. I find a different quote.
That's
all I have.
Thank you,
If y'all have any questions, y'all.
Thanks, Brandon.
Mr. Cook, did you have anything you would like to say?
Just that, it was a good ending to the school year, in our school. We had had good success overall with our, students achieving, our seniors achieving, you know, their industry certifications, credentials. There were some that weren't able to, some that, chose an online option that, wouldn't come in and test for us, you know, even though we asked. Some of those, of course, didn't get an industry cert, but overall, I think our, attainment rate in the school was good, coming out of COVID, and I expect it'll be improved next year. Of course, we had a new electricity teacher came in mid-year, but even with that, his pass rate for the electrical track test was better than last year's pass rate. So, you know, he was able to come in and take what we learned last year and make improvements on that. So really pleased with everything, with all things considered, and looking forward to another year and just building the programs back up. We've had to, you know, some of it's been kind of rebuilding process, but students stepped up and did a really good job too, of getting caught up and working a little extra hard, seemed like.
Now you have a vacancy in your health science.
We just filled that one. I think I can go ahead and announce after an email I received today. We hire through the state, and things are a little different and when we can make official announcements, but we hired Jennifer Durham, who is employee Rockcastle Regional, and we'll really look forward to her energy and her excitement and enthusiasm. And she's got some big shoes to fill in, you know, in Rhonda's absence, but I think she's up for the challenge, and look forward to helping her through this process and helping her become a teacher at the ATC. She'll actually come on board officially July 1st, and then we'll start her. We have a 2-year NTI program, New Teacher Institute, and that will kick off at the summer conference, 3rd week of July in Louisville. And she'll get a 4-day crash course in everything teaching. And then, once they've overwhelmed her really well and all the other new teachers, then, you know, they'll send them back home. And then we'll bring them in the building and overwhelm them some more, or overwhelm her some more. And but the energy that she has, I know that she'll do well. And like I said, really look forward to working with her and seeing what she can do with that program, where she can take it.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
But it was a difficult position to fill. You know, Ms. Childress, that program started 24 years ago, and Ms. Childress was the first and only teacher of that program here in the county. So, it was big shoes to fill, and it was a serious process. Obviously, anytime you hire a teacher, but we took it very serious, and
healthcare's neat right now.
We interviewed 3 really good candidates that day, and it was tough decision.
Thank you.
I just want to reflect just for a moment on yesterday's board meeting, and again, thank you all, and just reiterate how thankful I am to be here and to be superintendent of Rockcastle County Schools, and just to give the thanks to our staff and our district office staff and all of our teachers and bus drivers and food service instructional assistants, everybody, just to reiterate that we're a team, and you know, that we're blessed with, in my opinion, the best team in the state. And again, I just want to say thank you, and I feel very thankful and blessed to be here.
Thank you. I seen your little note. I'm just how many positions do we have that?
So at the middle school, we currently have a math teacher, social studies teacher there. At the high school, and also JAG teacher at the middle school, and those interview processes are currently taking place. The high school, we have social studies positions open, and LBD teacher. Those are from, for those retirements. At Mount Vernon Elementary, we have the special education teacher that you all approved because their caseloads were high.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got those, and all of those positions are currently in the process of going through the interview, so we'll be hiring those very shortly. And then we have some classified positions. As you all saw, the assistant coaches and those normal rotating positions in the summer.
want to say how nice graduation was, and thanks to JD and all the high school staff for that, but also our district staff. And somebody in CTE, I listen, Sherman, to people gripe all the time about CTE not having a seat at the table, and I thought how great it was that you were on stage and a part of that and front and center. And I don't know whose decision that was and how long that's been going on, but that's really good, and the rest of the state needs to learn from that. So.
I appreciate that. I don't know how good it is to have me on the stage, but JD approached me about that.
Well, that's really, really good, and that does not happen. The ATC principal having that role does not happen across state, but it should, so.
I've said it before, but this is a great district to work with, and the high school's always been good to work with, and JD's continuing that tradition as well, and very much appreciate him and all his staff and the way they integrate us into, a lot of what they do.
I don't really have much. I need to come visit your school. I've not been there, Mr. Sherman. I have never been there.
It's been a few years since we've been there.
I
We
need
should
to
set
come.
up
Yeah, my daughter will be there next year.
since we've been there.
Yeah.
Let us know when you come and we'll dust.
Okay. I'll give you a couple minutes. But no, I hope everybody enjoyed the district and the cookout too, because listen, this team that you all had, they were awesome. Kudos to your staff, central office. I felt like I was just kind of in the way. They all had it organized and going on. So that was a lot of work and fantastic food.
It was good.
It was very good.
Very good.
Yes.
Off of that, I think that we should bless them with a dinner sometime, maybe next month or something.
Oh, yeah.
The central office.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
That
they
was
didn't
great.
really get Marcus likes that idea.
He's ready to eat anytime.
Because they didn't really they worked the whole time. So, I was actually just thinking about how people have the assumption that if you work for school, you have your summers off, and that is far from the case, isn't it? Like, even teachers, like it's year round, but hope you get to enjoy your summer just a little. But thank you all for your hard work, and I've talked to some surrounding districts and some people at KSBA, and Rockcastle has a great name, and they are even names were mentioned of great staff. So I'm very proud to be a part of this board and this school district, and know that we're here for you guys. I truly mean that, and we support you 100%.
Oh, hell, I'm excited. We've got a lot of great things going on.
Yes.
I think every month learning more about the new middle school. That excites me, them coming and updating and seeing pictures, and so I'm excited. Thank you all.
To build on that a little bit, I think that whenever more concrete information comes into play, I think that maybe if we had some type of something to show the public,
Share it in the signal.
share it, just to get, I think there's still a lot of, I get questions still, people get antsy when you start talking about tearing down buildings and building new ones and stuff, and I just think after they see what we seen today, there would be all of that misgivings would be turned into excitement, and I think it's an exciting
I
time.
think if people saw what other districts have already implemented, that they would lose some of that nervousness, or this is great. I mean, our kids.
I think if they see the drawing, it'll
Yeah,
help.
and I think, we're always worried about, we're just at 625. If we don't do these things and make things available to kids, families are not gonna move in. I mean, if you went to some of these other facilities and saw what's offered, this is a great start. A great start.
And that's an awesome campus, by the way.
Yes,
It's a great
I'm
campus.
very impressed with what they showed us tonight.
And so just like Mr. Derrick referenced, the process of those 3 approvals. So once we get through and we get those approvals, then it would be a nice time to bring some community people together and share that when we get more of that finalized. I think that would be an exciting opportunity for the whole community.
And it would be, maybe that make them feel like they're involved. Sure. So, I appreciate all of you. Hope everyone stays cool the next few days, and, this is sorta, just, probably not anything that we've ever done before, but it's on my heart to do so. We have a young lady who graduated a few years ago from, our school, phenomenal young lady, who has started a new journey that may be somewhat difficult, and I just ask that all of you remember her and her family in your thoughts and prayers over the next few days. So,
Wonderful.
phenomenal. She's
great.
So, I just wanted to get that out there and let her family know that, they're in our prayers and our
Do you
thoughts.
think we could just take just a moment of silence to remember
I
that
think-
family
I think
this
so.
evening? Because I know today's been
Yes.
a hard day, and I think they did get some positive news, but
Yes, I
you
think
know,
that would be
that
great.
would be appropriate.
Yeah, let's do that. That's one of the reasons why we have a great school district. So, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.